Okay, so 5.4 Properties of Logarithms. This will be day one. In day one video, you're simply going to see I gave you some more equations to solve that were a little bit more difficult, a little bit on the more difficult side before we get into actually looking at the properties of logarithms. So this should be a kind of a quick review. I'm going to give you some extra practice in class. So hopefully this goes okay because like I said, these problems are a little bit harder. So take a look at example one. Let's get started. Letter A, I ask you, or in example one, I ask you to solve each equation below and round your answer to the nearest hundredth. That's 2 decimal places, so let's think. I have to know in order to solve an equation, I have to know what the inverse is. So in letter A, I see it's written as a natural log. The inverse then would be to obviously write it as an exponent. So in letter A, I know it's understood to be in base E. So in order to write it as an exponent, I know what I'm going to do is write it as e to the second power is equal to x. I'm going to do e squared in my calculator, and voila, I get 7.39. Okay, so it shouldn't be that difficult at that point. You should be able to solve these very, very, very quickly. If you think you can actually do them without me explaining them and kind of check your answers, then great. I think you should pause the video and try to do them on your own. If you want to follow along with me, I'm going to go a little bit quicker as we keep going, but you kind of get the point. Letter B, I know it's understood to be in base 10. So to write it as an exponent, I would write 10 to the negative 0.52 power equals x. I'll type that in my calculator and I get 0.30. Letters C and D, now they're a little bit different because now they're written as exponents. So I know the inverse is to take the log or natural log of both sides. In letter C, I know it's in base E. So I know what I should do is take the natural log of both sides. Think that's the inverse, so they cancel each other out. I'm left with the natural log, x equals the natural log of 167. Type natural log 167 in your calculator, and voila, you should get 5.12. Letter D, now it's in base 10, so I know the inverse is to take the log of both sides. Left-hand side, they cancel each other out. Right-hand side, I'm left with the log of 8.223. Type that in my calculator, and I get 0.92. So hopefully you're like, man, okay, I'm zipping right through this. I'm doing well. I'm ready to keep going, maybe get a little bit harder. So take a look, letter E, F, and G. Here it is. You asked for it a little bit more difficult, and voila, you got it. So letter E, first thing I think I should do is obviously I want to get that 10 to the x by itself, so I'm going to add 29 to both sides. Now I'm thinking it's in base 10. I know the inverse is to take the log of both sides. So I'm left with x equals the log of 80. In my calculator, I get 1.90. F, I think I got to add that 5 to both sides first. Move that minus 5. Now I have to get rid of that positive 3, so I'm going to divide by 3. Okay, it's in base E, so I know I should take the natural log of both sides. So I'm left with x plus 1 equals the natural log of 4. Be careful here. You want to do the natural log of 4 first, hit equals, and then move that positive 1 to the other side. So natural log of 4, hit equals, then subtract that 1, hit equals. That should give you your answer that you're looking for. Okay, letter G, obviously again, get that log by itself, so I'm going to subtract 1. I'll then divide by 2. Now I'll write it as an exponent. Right, 10 to the 1.5. I'll do that in my calculator. I'll hit divide by 7, and I'll hit equals, and there is that 4.52 that you should get. So hopefully not too bad. One more. Take a look, letter H. I think I got to do the same deal. Add that 5. Divide by that negative 4. Now I'm thinking, okay, written as a natural log, inverse is to write it as an exponent. do e to the negative third in your calculator, then subtract that 1, and voila, there's your negative 0.95. So hopefully all went well. It was just a little bit more review on what we've been doing. I thought it'd be good practice to give you some that are a little bit more difficult, and good job.